Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, for another State of the Franchise episode. We are still alive and we advance. And this time it's to the NFC Championship game. So you are going to get our thoughts on 49ers Packers, that crazy game, and looking forward to the Detroit Lions, everything we need to discuss. And hey, word on the streets is there's some Brock Purdy slander out there, so maybe we'll touch on that. We'll see. But you guys already know what to do. Make sure you like and sub to both channels and drop those spicy sourdoughs in the chat. We're gonna get it right now. That's Jason Aponte. I'm Brad Graham. We're gonna get into it all right now. Mr. Aponte, as usual, what are the vibes looking like over there on the East Coast, my boy?
Very good. It's good to see you, man. Glad you were there for that game. A lot to jump into, a lot to dissect. What's really cool is actually now we're basically on Deebo Samuel watch this entire week, but
Yeah.
everyone else is relatively healthy. We even got Kalia Davis having his practice window open. So, aside from Cleveland Farrell, I do have a
Yes.
question about, certain people playing over other people, but we'll get into all that. But realistically, right now, what we're looking at is basically just this Deebo Samuel watch. It's Panda watch, day 3. The mood is tense.
The mood is tense, but the mood is also, I would say, optimistic in regards to like Deebo Samuel's availability. Obviously, step number one, avoiding any structural damage, right? No fracture, no break. Doesn't sound like there's any type of tear. We haven't even heard really the word strain, I don't think. So it just sounds like pain. He got hit pretty good. I think it was that Jair Alexander hit where he kind of rolled into Jair hitting him, and obviously wasn't able to come back in that game. But the San Francisco 49ers escape what would have been a disastrous finish if they weren't able to get there. But thankfully, they get it done and move forward. So if you had to put a percentage chance right now on a Wednesday where Deebo Samuel didn't practice, but he was off to the side working, what would you say your percentage chance is that Deebo Samuel is going to play in the NFC Championship game?
I think the other thing that we should say is that today was a walkthrough. So no pads, no hitting, anything like that either. So it's basically just a walkthrough. So regardless, I think tomorrow would be the day that we're gonna find out. But I'm very optimistic. Give me 85%. Sounding just like Brandon Ayuk saying I think he'll play. I did want to ask you this because I had a few people ask me, and I think I might have gotten it wrong. The X-ray didn't show anything, but the MRI was the one that ran around, like that showed the hairline fracture that time, right? Like I think
It was either an
like
MRI or a CT scan. I
uh,
believe
yeah,
it
yeah.
was the X-ray after the Browns game, and he
Mhm,
cleared it, and it was later revealed by the MRI
mhm,
or CT that there was a hairline. But my assumption is they would have done that same exact thing, so
yeah.
that must have cleared. They just didn't get into those specific details.
Yeah, I've got it at 85%. I think it's a pain tolerance thing. It's time for you to stand on business and go, man. Like you've got to go like in
Yeah.
this game. Like it's how hard would it be to win this game without Debo Samuel, and we're talking about the game right before Las Vegas. So I think he does play.
Yeah, yeah. It again, you can he's got two legs. Those legs are healthy. Obviously, Debo Samuel packs a punch, especially when he lowers his shoulder, literally. So that is a concern, but we know that this is it, man. Like you play through anything. You can get out on that field, you're gonna play. Football players are wired differently. And at this stage in the season, when everything's on the line, you gotta go. You gotta go, right?
I'm just laughing at Jordan's comment. I tried to get an interview with him, but they said no, you can't do that. He's a live wide back. He will literally rip your face off. We are killing it with the Anchorman comments so far. We are on
Deebo
Deebo Watch
watch.
day 3.
I'm dying, man.
Yo, Jordan's the only one who I mean, Brad gets them sometimes, right? Like Brad, like when we hang out, like Brad gets the
Oh, I
obvious ones.
I
Like we get
laugh. I
y-
laugh at you two going word for word, bar for bar, and the best part about it is you integrate whatever situation we're in. So it's phenomenal. Just like Jordan did right here.
whammy.
I see. I don't have the mental capacity to keep up with these two, so I just sit back and I laugh. It's absolutely a joy to be around them when they
all,
get going
all
on
three of
their
us,
movie
all
quotes,
three of us get in the room, and Brad just sits there and like is looking at
and
us like,
I just laugh.
yeah, like, are you guys done yet?
They go on like 30-minute curb your enthusiasm like rabbit holes, and I'm just like I haven't seen this episode, but I feel like I'm watching it in front of me, so I feel part of it. They do a really good job.
Yeah. Jordan and I are literally we get kicked out. Yeah, getting kicked out. All right, we get kicked out. Like that's again that's Kirby. Don't get us started. We're here to talk 49ers. I'm sorry. Shout out to NBC Jordan.
NBC Jordan, what a legend. Um, so there's definitely a lot of different angles we can go, but I let's screw it. Let's just go with the main topic of the week. And it's no, not yet. Let's talk about. So I haven't really talked to you about
Mhm.
your thoughts on Green Bay, that game. What's just kind of like your overall takeaway? How are you feeling? Like, and like, what do you think the 49ers need to continue to focus on moving forward to make sure that they don't run into that type of performance again? And what was it? Was it rust? Was it the rain? Was it a combination of all of it? Just kind of what was your overall takeaway of that game?
It was a combination of all of it, but these playoff games stop me if this shocks you. When you play in the playoffs, you're probably going to be playing a very good team, and they have a game
Ooh.
plan too. Um, but I walked away from that game far more encouraged because I'm an overly optimistic guy at times. But the way that I dissected it was you wanted to see the 49ers win a game where they came back. You wanted to see a game where Brock Purdy had to lead a game winning drive. You needed to see Kyle Shanahan come back in a game, whatever, 6, 7, 8 points, goalpost moving has been incredible. Like people are just making stuff up now at this point. You needed to see all of those things. But when it happens, and it happens in a game that you got to have it, now it's some sort of an issue. For me, I don't think there's any way this team can play as poorly or not execute as well as they did on Saturday, on Sunday. And if we go down the list of people who have hoisted the Lombardi, teams that have hoisted the Lombardi, there are multiple games like that, not only throughout the season, but games that Super Bowl champion had no business winning, right? How did they win that game? And then they go on and they win another game because all you have to do is win. I don't
Yeah.
understand now why it is now a problem. I think it's the perception of how we believed the 49ers were that much better than Green Bay. But at the end of the day, playoff teams are playoff teams. Like the Green Bay Packers didn't make the divisional round because they're bad, right? Like the Detroit Lions are not playing on Sunday because they're bad. I don't understand why you wouldn't walk away from that game more enthused because the 49ers played in some fashion, in some form or fashion, probably their poorest game that they could, but they walked away with a W. And you literally needed to see Brock win in the rain. You needed to see Brock lead a game-winning touchdown. You needed to see it when Deebo wasn't there. You needed to see it when Kyle hasn't. And then all those things happen, and now you're not supposed to be excited about the game. I just don't know if there's any other way to frame it unless you are someone who just doesn't like the 49ers or wants them to lose. I don't get it, man. I really don't get it.
Well, I think it really kind of speaks to the overall kind of landscape of media, right? And we've talked about this all year. It's what have you done for me lately? And literally to the point of last week, everything you've done before. We don't live, it feels like, at least when it comes to football conversations, really, if we're kind of dissecting a season, where we take into all the factors. We just take into the most recent factors. And the most recent factors are Kyle struggled, Brock struggled, uh, our secondary struggled. Perceived notion that our defensive line struggled by not getting enough sacks. Like the
Oh, so you
overall
disagree with that?
I haven't watched the tape, so
Mhm,
that's why I can't give a definitive opinion on it.
mhm,
Because I remember seeing pressures. I remember
mhm,
thinking like, oh, they're gonna get Jordan, and then all of a sudden Love squeaks out or takes a slight 2 steps back, throws off his back foot, and you're like, all right, well, that's why Jordan Love is going to be one of the ascending quarterbacks in this league because
mhm,
he's physically imposing as a quarterback, and he can do things like that. Whereas, like, if we take that just in a nutshell, you put a Jared Goff in there, those pressures turns into sacks. That's a different conversation. But again, I see the fan reaction, so that's kind of why I said it
mhm,
like that. Is I see fans upset with sack production, but the way that I was watching it in stadium, like I said, I haven't done the tape study on the defense yet. I saw pressures happening. I saw them
mhm,
getting around Jordan Love. He was just making plays. He was being a good quarterback and being able to make plays outside of structure. So the point being is the perception around the 49ers is that they weren't good in that game. And I think at a certain point I keep going back to what Fred Warner said, and I'm not sure if you mentioned this or have, but he talked about having to win grimy games, right? And the 49ers have found themselves in grimy games and they weren't able to come out on top. You look at the Bengals game, you look at that Cleveland Browns game, you look at the Minnesota game, even that game against the Ravens. Those are all grimy gutter games where things aren't going to go exactly how you want them. But
mhm,
we all know the true measure of a top caliber team is to be able to come out with the win. Remember, we were talking about the Eagles? I think we might even
mhm,
talked about this last week when we
mhm,
were getting ready to play them. They weren't playing well, but they were winning. They were winning the grimy games, and we were giving them respect for that aspect of it.
mhm,
Ultimately, they got exposed by the 49ers, but the 49ers are fundamentally sound in their foundation. They just needed to be able to come out on top in those games. So that's why I look at that game as like that might almost be like a godsend for these guys to be able to literally be in a moment in that game where not only I'm sure those players, but the fan base, any single person, any 30 million eyeballs that were on those games thought the 49ers were going to lose.
yeah,
And to be able to come out with a win, that I think that hardens you, right? Like that almost like you can build on that. You can go and
yeah.
correct those mistakes, but you to be able to come out on top in a game where it was looking bad, right? Like that's a good spot to be in moving forward into an NFC Championship game.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I'll go back to the point. Every NFL champion has had those games where it looked really muddy in a game where they wound up winning that game and then moving on. And it's it's got to happen that way. This is the NFL. I think a lot of the things that we're pointing to with the 49ers and how people are viewing their performance is not giving credit to the Green Bay Packers. I
Yeah.
mean, not only they'd been hot, I mean, they have one of the better offensive lines in the league as well too.
Hey, shout
And
out
then
their
watching,
defensive line.
yeah,
They're good. They're good. I was
I mean,
surprised.
Preston Smith, Rashawn Gary, they're good. Kenny Clark, they've got some good
Kenny
players. That's
Kenny
why
Clark
they're in
still
the game.
got it. He's
Yeah.
legit, dude.
But when I watch the film, I see a lot of things that, again, and this might be me being overly optimistic, are correctable. It's not going to rain on Sunday. Guys are falling all over the field and giving up big plays, right? Like it wasn't so much that guys were just getting beat as much because Demo's a dog. He had an incredible game.
Yeah,
Even
he was
Mooney with
great.
that PBU, he really set the tone early on. I would say the two things that concern me are the penalties on the downfield throw from Ambry. You know, it's 3rd and 30. Play the ball. Don't panic. And then right after that, boom, they score again. So that extends the drive. They would have got off the field on that drive as well too. I think we're discounting the fact that Aaron Jones has been on an absolute heater and is a very good
Very
running
good.
back. He never goes down. It always felt like whenever they were ready to tackle him for a 3 yard gain, he would end up 6, 7 yards, 8 down the field. Um, so it's okay to give credit. I'll say the biggest thing, the two things in the secondary that kind of, or I don't want to say make me nervous, just I have questions about is The Green Bay Packers game plan was to send whatever wide receiver was on Ambry Thomas' side and just go throw at him. Didn't matter who it was, Dobbs, Watson, Reed. This isn't a situation in which it's like, oh, that's Devontae Adams. We're gonna throw the ball, at Ambry Thomas. It's whoever is on Ambry Thomas' side because we want to make him make plays and we're gonna force him to make plays. And then I gotta ask, man, the Logan Ryan and Jair Brown thing. I don't have any rhyme or reason for why other than Kyle trusting a vet. And again, like we talked about it. Like Tig has things that he needs to clean up as a rookie, but I never saw anything from Jair Brown where I was like, oh God, I don't think this kid is ready at all. Right. Like he's around the ball, he's getting interceptions, he's still playing fast and playing downhill. I'm just very curious what went into that decision, and I'm pretty sure that it has to be that Kyle Shanahan is trusting a vet over the young man in that moment. So I look, Demo's a dog. Mooney was fine. He slipped on the one play, right? I think if you're worried about the run defense, I think that's fair because the Lions have a great rushing attack and a great offensive line as well too. But I'm not nearly as worried about the defense because the penalties kept drives going. So Sean Gibson gets called for one. Ambry Thomas gets called for one. What makes me nervous is everyone is now looking around and saying, "Well, we're not going to throw at Demo. We're not going to throw at him. We're not going to throw. We're going to go at 20." And now Ambry Thomas has got to find a way to keep calm and stay solid. So I think that's kind of my takeaways from the defense. I think everything else, when you look at it, I had this game, what was it, 38-21? Well, the 49ers only gave up 21 points and they forced 2 turnovers. I think all things considered, penalties, guys falling all over the place, kick returns, all that stuff. 21 points is still, if you say that the 49ers gave up 21 points, you're fairly certain your team can score 22. So again, like I have a hard time being like doomsday scenario. Obviously, concerns are there. There's little things to clean up, but guys aren't going to be falling all over the field this weekend. And that's kind of just where I'm at this point.
Yeah, and like I said, I haven't done the tape study on the defense, so I can't speak super definitively to some of the miscues and stuff like that that had happened other than what I saw in person. But yeah, we definitely saw the Ambry Thomas, situation play out. And we know Ambry can be hit or miss in those situations. And I think it just really came down to almost being over aggressive. I noticed it appeared that when Ambry senses the ball's in the air, he instantly goes for contact and he looks back. The problem with that is if it's like way too soon, because a wide receiver can make it look like he's going for the ball, right? But it's still hanging in the air. And if you create that contact, sometimes the things that will save you is looking back and locating the ball because the refs want to see that. But if you get there way too early and you impact that play or the route, because a couple of them didn't even look like they were catchable balls. It was just like, all right, this is kind of what we're going. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if LaFleur was like, we're going with a go, and you either catching it or you're creating a PI, like actively looking for that opportunity to go and try to get that PI based on certain tendencies. So it's going to be interesting moving forward. The thing with Jair Brown, I think it's crystal clear that it's just Kyle's got a rookie back there. And, we know Kyle isn't, shoot, he wants vets. He wants guys that he can trust. And just from a sense of, I know what you're going to do versus we know you have the ability, but we're just unsure. So I don't know. I think they'll be okay. It'll be interesting to see though, like the matchup, because you have guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, who, I mean, he profiles kind of like a slot, but he's a number one, and he can go inside, he can go outside. He's very twitched up, very fast. Might pose a little bit of a matchup problem with guys like Mooney Ward, who I would say are more prototypical DK Metcalf stoppers, more AJ Brown stoppers. So I see Diamador and Amon-Ra being the ideal matchup for their number one wide receiver. Outside of that, you look at Reynolds, he's good, but I think you can lock him up. Like he's not that twitched up. Jameson, is it Crowder? No, that's the wrong
No,
Jameson. Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams.
Yeah,
Yeah. Jameson Williams.
he
He's a burner.
he's got a lot of talent. He's just raw. Like
Yeah.
he's not refined.
Right.
So as long they just really have to pay attention to Amon Ra, and obviously making sure that they don't let those other two guys burn them. And I think the number one guy is going to be Sam Laporta, that we're really going to have to be watching out for, right?
Yeah.
Because he's phenomenal, and both you and I saw that at the combine last year, and it's on full display this year.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that begs the question of kind of what can you commit to? Do you have to send more if they're running the football well, and you're going to leave Laporta to operate against whoever, Fred, Greenlaw, safety, whatever, right? Like that's the chess match with this game. And the Lions have a great offensive line. Literally, almost all of those guys I voted for as all pros, and
They're so good.
Gibbs and Montgomery are a perfect 1-2 punch.
Yep.
This is going to come down to the defensive line finding a way to disrupt, get in Goff's face, make him uncomfortable. He's not going to be able to move. You want to make him make those panic throws. We know Jared Goff very well, but this version of Jared Goff is the best version that we've ever seen, even during his time with the Los Angeles Rams, easily.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I know that sounds simplistic, but you have to find a way to disrupt these passes. You have to find a way to at least muddy that pocket and sack the quarterback and sack the quarterback finish. So it's going to come down to that, because if you start to leave those guys wide open or try to make them cover for 2 and 3 and 4 seconds, and this goes for almost any team. I know I'm not saying anything that's earth shattering, but against this particular offense, in which they run a lot of mesh routes and they run a lot of overs and digs and things like that, that Goff is very uncomfortable with in his time in Los Angeles, it's going to be paramount to disrupt the timing of those by getting to the quarterback immediately. And I think that's something that, I don't know if that means you have to send another person. You're going to send 4 or 5. I don't know. Can you get there with 4? If you can get there with 4, that's ideal. That would be great. But it's going to be very interesting because the Detroit Lions have a dog of an offensive line, man. Like, it's Ragnow, it's Sewell, it's Decker. Like, they've got dogs, man. Like, if the Packers offensive line is good, the Lions line is better. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see that.
Yeah, this is a game where I actually wouldn't mind seeing a ton of stunts, or like pre-snap disguises, uh double mugging the A gap with Warner and Greenlaw, showing 0 but only rushing 4. But you're overloading one, you know what I mean? Overloading one side, dropping out the other side. I want to confuse Goff. You can't let Goff sit in the pocket like a stat. You either have to confuse him or you have to get pressure on him. And then Nick Bosa said that today. He literally said the key is to get pressure on him. You got to rattle him. And that's the MO of Goff, and it always has been. When you give him time, he will pick you apart. If you get to him, you can get him spinning. And so that really is going to be the key element for the defense against the Detroit Lions, in my opinion, because I think they will have uh, it will be a challenge to stop Gibbs and Montgomery with that offensive line. It's going to be a challenge to get pressure with that offensive line. So I think Wilkes has to be a little bit creative. I don't want to see them look super vanilla in regards to just looks. Try to disguise something a little bit. Try to make Goff believe you're bringing something and dropping out, and just making him think twice, and then you can generate potential pressures off that. So it'll be a fascinating matchup. 49ers defense versus a Lions offense that I would say is kind of carrying that team right now. So that's going to be a NFC Championship battle right there. And that might be a determining factor in obviously who comes out with that game. But kind of pivoting back to that Packers game and how it's going to impact this upcoming game, what was your number one concern with the 49ers offense, excluding rain, excluding the rain element, because that clearly impacted Brock, and it probably will continue to impact Brock in the future, but excluding that element, because according to the weather report, should be around 70, a little cloudy. So don't expect there to be a lot of run. or Rain, I should say. What's your number one concern? And when I say concern, not like it's a lingering issue, just like what you saw in that Packers game that you want to see cleaned up moving forward.
I understand game planning all week and practicing all week with Deebo Samuel, but this offense can't go into a shell because Deebo Samuel leaves the game. And that's not me minimizing Deebo Samuel. In fact, I think it's highlighting his importance. But it felt like when Deebo left the game, it got extremely difficult on offense, and we didn't even see him for that long. And you're calling a play out of the half with Jawan Jennings running the football. Oh, I forgot, and it's just
Yeah.
you cannot get out of sorts like that. You
Yeah.
cannot get out of sorts like that because Deebo Samuel left. Um, I think that's my concern. For me, it's you still have Christian McCaffrey, you still have Brandon Ayuk, you still have George Kittle. Brock Purdy's not throwing the plumbers. Like these are guys 1,300 yards, the best tight end in the league, the best running back in football. It shouldn't turn into, let's do a movie reference. It shouldn't turn into the water boy, the coach, not having the green notebook now and not being able to draw up plays anymore. Um, I understand all week. I understand all week that you've game planned, you've practiced, you've installed your offense, and a lot of that has to do with Deebo Samuel. I get that. I 100% get that part of it. But the offense can't just go away and go into a shell because if it does that for stretches of this game or at any point, yeah, that's it. I mean, it just I don't understand. Like it's not as simple as all like, all right, well, we're just gonna hand it off and hand it off and do like it's for me, what is it about when Debo leaves that the adjustments don't come and they don't come fast enough. They come too late, right? This is a very complimentary one football game because the defense got stops and gave the ball back to the offense and helped them get it back, right? This wasn't like the defense couldn't stop anybody and the offense had to keep going, right? Like they got the stops they needed. But I'm just saying, like, I don't understand, like, when Debo goes out, why does this offense like just kind of look completely different when you still have so many good players? That's it.
Yeah, no, I would have to agree. I think, being in the stands and being in that environment, the amount of what are you doing, Kyle, that I heard throughout that game was staggering. And now obviously I've had the opportunity to go back and watch the tape and, really try to understand it from that level. And yeah, that I think that drive heading into half, I think they had almost 6 minutes, and they ran out of time on
Oh,
like
at the
the
half
yeah, I think on their 40 around
with
there.
3 timeouts
Three
left, and you played for a
timeouts,
field goal.
6 minutes, played for a field goal, and it got blocked. And I totally understand Kyle's thought process from this perspective. He doesn't want to give the ball back to the Green Bay Packers. No
Right.
problem with that. I am all for using every second of that 6 minutes. But w- it was, and watching it back on tape too, and just you watch it, they go all the way down, watch it go all the way down, watch it go all the way down, and you're like, oh my god, they're out of time. Now they're having to run up and spike the ball, and it's like, are we even going to get a field goal? Like, were we just trying to milk all the time down? And like, so it's twofold, right? It's like I get the thought process behind it. I feel like the execution needed to be a little bit better. I felt like there needed to be a little bit more sense of urgency. And again, 6 minute offense, that's challenging to manage a drive that long, but it was almost it was almost overkill, right? Like, and
Yeah.
so, and then to your point, was it the first play out of half as a Jawan Jennings run? So um, I think we all have faith in Kyle. Like, we all have faith in his ability and all
Mhm.
those different types of things. We understand what it is. But again, yeah, we just want to see, I think, in those moments, hopefully there's a lot of learning moments from this game. I know, and I know we focus a lot on the players and we focus a lot on the execution on the field, but the coach has got to execute as well. And, we're big fans of Kyle on this channel. Um, and I think, but we can also be objective in understanding that there he needed to do something. He needed to, maybe be a little bit more locked in. And I think, that definitely impacted the game early. However, I will say when it mattered most, um, everyone clutched up. You know, Kyle clutched up, Brock clutched up, CMC clutched up, Jawan clutched up, and they were able to get it done in the end. But boy, did they make it stressful at the beginning.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is the double dipping thing. Like, this was the plan, was to get the ball at score at the half, then get it, and it literally, kiss your kneecaps goodbye. That's a good one.
That's a good one. Up
And
there.
then it just literally like exploded, right? Because
Yeah,
that's the thing, right? Like, coming out of the half, you want to see those scripted plays work. Same way, like, early on in the game, when you start with your script, you want to see like, hey, we want to see these plays work. We've been really ready to go. This is where we want to attack, all those things. But then when it doesn't come out after the second half, and then you start with that play, you start to get that weird sinking feeling in your stomach
yeah,
of like, something's wrong with this game. Like, this game feels very weird, obviously, and it's just, you're sitting there now and you're like, oh no, like, the signs it's all piling up now, right? Like, it's all starting to pile up. Like, the offense is moving for Green Bay. This offense is coming out a little bit stagnant. Debo's not playing now. Guys are slipping all over the field. You start to get like that worrisome feeling starts to build in you right away, because you wanted to
Brock
come right out of the half and
throwing
score.
balls in the flat in the ground. Like,
Right.
I'm like, dude,
Right.
I've never seen Brock do that. Like,
Right.
it was
Yeah.
crazy, right?
It all started to pile up, and you started to get that feeling, like, little by little. And look, I know what Kyle said. But that just adds to you can't have those mistakes. You
Right.
can't have those mistakes. I don't care who made the mistake. I don't care why the mistake was made. The mistake cannot happen. And you can't call a timeout to start. And you can't have Juwan Jennings standing there in the backfield taking a handoff. I don't care why it happened. I don't care who are responsible. It cannot happen in the divisional round. It cannot happen in the divisional round. I don't care what's the rhyme or the reason. It can't happen. It just can't happen.
Yeah, they felt a little rusty. I don't know if it was rust. I don't know if it was, kind of Green Bay coming out playing the way they were. It was a combination of factors, but it was a lot of things. Like, it was a lot of things. Brock being uncomfortable, coming out with the glove, taking the glove off. Man, I will say though, uh, watching Brock work through that game, it was crazy because we both watched the tape, so we really do like when we hear Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel clapping back at all these media people. All watch the tape, watch the tape. Well, me and you, we watch the tape. We watch all the games. I've watched every rep of Brock Purdy, just like you have, and I've never seen that version of Brock where he hit a deep valley. I was talking about it. It's like that game was peaks and valleys for Brock. He would have a nice play and then he would dip down the valley. He would climb back out of it and then he would dip down the valley. And at the most crucial moment of that game, they hit a valley. Brock hit a valley. He was not hitting his passes. They were sailing on him. Whatever the reason, he was getting hit. There were multiple factors at play of why that was happening that aren't just him, but it was one of the crazier performances we had seen from Brock. For Brock to then have a miscommunication with Ray McLeod on probably would have been a touchdown potentially, that at that moment in my head, I'm like, that's the game. That's the game. Right. And then that was after that third down incompletion. They punt. Aaron Jones goes all the way into our territory. And we're like, all right, I guess I gotta start Shrine Bowl, Senior Bowl. All right, I guess we're on to draft season. Like, for that to be the mentality and to be the moment, and for apparently, I guess George Kittle went on the Pat McAfee show, said Brock kind of snapped a little bit, and it kind of woke everyone up, and they go out and they execute uh, a phenomenal drive, and they even hit adversity on this drive, right? George Kittle, who's normally just absolute clutch. Just he was looking ahead to run up field, ball drops, they get put in a 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, gotta have it. Brock just delivers a laser with, I mean, you talk about the coverage on that play. That coverage, I don't know who that defender was. I don't know his name, but is probably the best coverage you could have on a slant like that on Ayuk, and somehow just gets it by him. Ayuk brings it in. And when that happened, I was like, oh my gosh, we actually have a chance. Like this actually might happen, because you're like me, Jason. I can already guess. Like we have PTSD in these moments. Like we have been on the wrong side of game-winning drives for
Right.
a good amount of time, right?
Yeah.
You go back to 2012 in the Super Bowl. Like it's have been on the wrong side of that. So to watch this team bounce back, Brock bounce back, Kyle bounce back, and have Conley have to come in because Ray gets benched, and CMC making that, calling his shot, getting a touchdown on it. I mean, that's what builds confidence for me, because we know, I think, and the point of like what we're talking about is we know they can play much better. Coaching,
Yeah.
players, all of it. And they
Yeah.
still won that game. They won the grimy game. They won a game they probably should have lost. And that, I think, is a big jumping board off into this week of being mentally tested and just understanding, all right, it's go time. We can't mess around here.
That's exactly my takeaway. Is everybody said that Brock needs to be perfect. Everything needs to, well, give him the ball with a chance. It's funny. Early on in Tom Brady's career with the Patriots, he would have 3 quarters in which he just managed the game, and then he would get the ball for the game-winning touchdown and score. And they wound up winning a Super Bowl that way. I'm not saying that Brock is Tom Brady. I'm just saying there's been many times and many instances of people playing poor games for 3 quarters but getting their shot with the last drive. For instance, gather around, folks. Let me regale you with the tale of the 1981 NFC Championship game. Dwight Clark catches a pass from Joe Montana. Joe Montana had 3 interceptions in that game and a fumble before the final drive, throwing the ball to Dwight Clark. I always say Dallas Clark to Dwight Clark. I don't understand. The false equivalencies to what you think is a good performance and what you think isn't is literally one of the most iconic moments in the biggest game, the NFC Championship. Joe Montana threw 3 interceptions in that game in 1981. There's been many instances in which Tom Brady's had games where he threw 3 interceptions and won. He threw 3 interceptions in his final NFC Championship game against the Green Bay Packers, and they won. I don't understand. I don't understand. I just don't understand, man. I don't get why. For one, it's okay. For him, it's not. Win the damn game. Win the damn game, man. And I've seen that script play out in which the offense is spiraling and nothing's going right and throws are being intercepted and everything. And Brock did something that we hadn't seen. He finished the job, right? Like in that moment, right? So I have a tough time with this. I really do have a tough time with not being impressed with the way that this team played a poor game that entire time and then found a way to gut it out and move on. Do you think the Green Bay Packers feel better that they played better than the San Francisco 49ers? No, they lost. They're home. They're home. So like I this whole like it's kind of funny because discussions with sports, especially with football, it's about winning in the fashion that you want them to win. And if you don't, then oh, you're not good because you didn't win the way I wanted you to win. Even though everybody said he can't win that way. But because the 49ers had a game that was like that, it's well, you see, man, look at them struggling with them, man. It's like I'll never understand it. The goalposts, they're on a tractor trailer and they're just being like spun around. And now idiots like aren't like Keyshawn Johnson saying, well, it wasn't really a comeback of 7 because you kicked the field goal going. Are you dumb? Like, who allows you on TV? And this is another instance of sure you played football, but no, you're not smart. And no, you don't
what are you talking about, man?
Right.
Like
sure you played football. Sure you played football. Sure you were great at football, but no, you're not smart. No, you're not smart. You are not smart. It's just funny to me, man. And I knew it was coming. It's the same thing with that Kyle stat. Oh, he's 0-30 with games, 7+ points. Didn't they beat the Rams in Week 18 to go to the playoffs in the fourth quarter with with like a deficit? And I don't know if anybody knows, but generally, and please do not cite the one-off games that has happened. If you go down double digits in the fourth quarter of a playoff game, you lose. Don't cite 28-3 to me. Don't cite the Niners. You're citing the 10 times that it's happened in the NFL playoffs and not the 300 times that it hasn't happened when guys go down. So I don't understand. I need to see him win from 21 down. No one does. No one does. Just the Buffalo Bills against the Houston Oilers, the San Francisco 49ers against the Giants, the New England Patriots. Other than that, if you go down 21 points in the fourth quarter, you're gonna lose. I don't get this. Why do you need them to see them do something that nobody ever does? Sure, a few teams have, but the numbers are against you. 9 out of 10 times you are losing that game. That one time is those moments that you're talking about. It makes no sense. It really, I don't understand this one. I know 28-3. I get it. 4, 5, 6, 7 instances. 200, 300, 400 playoff instances. When people go down double digits, they lose. This is what happens. This is the minority. It's not the rule, it's the exception. I don't get this one. Yeah, sure. Hey, the Patriots came back from 28-3. Everybody should be able to. No. No. What? No. The hell? That was an all-time moment. That's why it's an all-time moment. It's not the norm. Why do you need people to do things that nobody's ever done before you give them credit? I just don't get it, man. It's ridiculous to me.
It's really funny because I got baited into it as well. And I remember, I think after the Ravens game, I think that might have been it, where that stat started going around and we're like, oh, there's gotta be a bigger story to this Kyle Shanahan stat. And then you realize the team or the coach who's like in first place in this scenario is like 4-31. Like it's just you don't win in the
Four,
NFL when you're
four
down
other wins.
when you're down 8 points, meaning you got to score 2 scores. you
There's been
don't win
instances.
very.
It's 40 times and 4 teams have won, but Kyle's never done it. You got to like.
He's
What
never
are we talking
done it.
about? What are we talking about, dog? What are we talking about?
But it's like, yeah, barely anyone ever does it. It's an oddity. It's a cherry pick stat that when you put in you just kind of put in its place by itself, it looks really bad, but then you measure it up against everyone else and you're like, oh, it's actually pretty normal. So and that's been a huge part of this week. It's just been a lot of narratives, a lot of bashing of the quarterback, all that kind of stuff. It's honestly been absolutely wild. But I will say it's been fun, honestly, because Jason, this isn't anything new for 49er fans, 49ers content creators. That the quarterback discourse, we are at this point, it's in our DNA. Like
Yeah.
I will never forget, me and you would do state of the franchise throughout this summer, and we would refuse to talk about the quarterback because it was the main talking point. But we were just like, there's nothing else to add to this conversation. We've addressed our points, but it just goes on and on and on. And so what we're dealing with today, it's just an extension of that. It's just an extension of one, we're an engagement machine, and two, look at the quarterbacks over my shoulder. Joe Montana, Steve Young. We have a legacy of goats at the position, and so you're going to be held to that standard. And whether it's unconscious or subconscious, that's just the way it is. And we are a media dream because you can divide the NFL fan base on the 49ers, because on one hand you're either rooting for them or on the other hand you are absolutely rooting against them. There's not a lot of middle ground.
My favorite part of this week has been watching idiots roll out takes when it's very easy for you to just say that Brock Purdy didn't play a good game for 3 quarters and did something that you wanted to see. Um, like again, Brad, staple of this show. Do you want to be right? Do you want to get it right? And getting it right requires humbleness and it requires you to actually objectively look at things. Being right requires you to have to find a way to stretch everything to get behind a take that you don't want to amend or change. It's be right, get it right. And you're watching these idiots, Keyshawn Johnson. Well, it's not really 7. He had to kick a field goal. And then he's arguing with Sherman about, well, if they would have hit that field goal, they would have called things differently. And Sherman's like, you literally had to get a touchdown regardless, 4 or 7. And it's just like, I am watching a football player have an absolute meltdown brain fart on TV. Like, and not, it's like, I get it. You played great. I love that. Keyshawn, you done more in the NFL than I'll ever do, but you're not smart. And that whole oh, he played. Do you think you know better than him? Yes, I do. I know better than Keyshawn Johnson. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Made that
As I
clear.
sit right here in my room, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do. Okay. And he played in the NFL and I didn't, but I know more than him. I don't understand. I don't get this. I don't get this distinction of just because he played, you got to listen. How dumb. What was that? That was the worst. These are some of the worst takes. Greg Jennings said he wants to see the 49ers go get a difference maker like Justin Fields.
This is a perfect topic for us, by the way, because what do we
Fields fans?
What do we refer to Justin Fields? What do we call him? Our Prince. That's our guy. We rallied for Justin Fields to be the 49ers quarterback. But one of the things that we've talked about, and we've even talked about it this year, is the biggest takeaway for me with Justin Fields' evaluation in the NFL. He doesn't see the field like he needs to, at least within my perception of what he's doing and within his scheme. And if there's anything you need to do in a Kyle Shanahan offense is see the field pre and post, and you need to be on time and be able to throw with anticipation. And that is not Fields' game, man. He's one read. He's one read. All right, I'm running.
Justin's got to see it. If he doesn't see it, he's not going to throw it. How many times have we seen Brock Purdy throw a football in between 2 defenders and the receiver's not there yet, and then it gets there?
The Juwan Jennings clip over the middle where he threw it layered over the middle, 25 yards, drops it right in there while he's getting hit.
It's just nonsense. And I also would have loved to have been there because I'd have been like, Greg Jennings, Kyle Shanahan had a chance to draft Justin Fields.
He did. He had he had a pro day and a private pro day with Justin Fields.
And he didn't want him. Nope. And now he's gonna look and say, well, I don't know, man. We got to get out of this Brock Purdy thing. Let's go see what Justin's doing. Let's see, like, what?
And he said Brock Purdy is basically the same quarterback as Jimmy Garoppolo, which again tells me you didn't watch close enough to understand that Brock Purdy was better than Jimmy Garoppolo the second he took a snap in the Dolphins game. Like, it's not even comparable. And I did a big thing on it. It was like, we were talking about Jimmy Garoppolo from a production standpoint. He was playing well. He wasn't playing great. He was playing well from a Jimmy Garoppolo standpoint with the San Francisco 49ers that season. And, quarterback play was down that year. And we were like, oh, he might be climbing up that list. He goes down. Brock Purdy comes in. He's out here holding linebackers with his eyes, throwing off the backside, 0 blitz, spinning out. We're like, who's Mr. Irrelevant came in game 1 already playing better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, yeah.
And to say, and again, we've talked about this a million times. It's not that it's a natural comparison. We're not trying to slander Jimmy or anything like that.
Last quarterback.
He's the last quarterback. We've seen a ton of Jimmy. We know exactly who Jimmy is. And that's probably why Jimmy got benched with the Raiders. Like, we just kind of know what his game is. And it doesn't translate really well when you don't have a good defense and those different types of things. Whereas, Ayuk was left to die out there with Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, because he wouldn't get the ball because Ayuk's running deep in breaking routes. He's running go ball. He's running go routes down the field. Jimmy's not taking those chances. And I distinctively remember watching Brandon Ayuk on tape running one of his clear out routes deep downfield, and he gave up on the route. And then he looks up and the ball is coming to him. He's like, oh, crap. And he has to get on his horse to go get it because he's literally conditioned as a player that the ball wasn't going to come to him at that point. And you heard from Brandon Ayuk today. He says, I have the opportunity to be the best player I can be because of Brock Purdy, because Brock understands what I'm good at and he knows how to get me the football. And that's the difference. And to be able to say that Brock is Jimmy 2.0, just because they aren't these physical trait specimens who do all these crazy things with their legs doesn't mean they have the same game. Brock Purdy has a fundamentally more advanced game than Jimmy, and it's not even up for debate. So when you tie your horse to that conversation, again, Jason, what do we say? We say you either don't watch Brock Purdy or you don't know ball. I know Greg Jennings knows ball, but I don't think he's watching Brock Purdy.
All right. Fine. Fine. Okay.
I understand the pushback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got super chats. Let's get to them.
Let's get to them. We're sorry about that. We're hoarding super chats over here. Niners Drag says, why didn't Wilkes adjust to Packers protection plan versus our D line? I think you will see that plan again. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a combination of Jordan Love being able to get the ball out early on. He was very comfortable. They were trying to. Everybody's going to try to get the ball out fast. Nobody's going to try to hold. I think the Packers have a very good offensive line. I think that's something else we forgot. And they were running the ball very well. Aaron Jones was gashing them, and it was getting to the point where those pin pull runs were doing enough to disrupt their. There's no reason to pass rush obviously on those running plays, but it kind of just threw them off their game because the Packers were in a flow. They were in their rhythm. They had a great plan. They were executing. I think that's kind of what you were seeing early on. I think as the game progressed, you saw the defensive line start to get there a lot closer, make Jordan Love much more uncomfortable. But early on, again, this is where I got to go back to giving the Green Bay Packers credit. Those pin pull runs were great. Aaron Jones is a dog. And Jordan Love was making some highlight big boy throws,
Yeah,
and obviously it didn't happen in the second half, but it was a big boy throw on the run. That's like a dot right into the sideline. You can see why people are excited about Jordan Love, but early on they just had a plan, they were executing, and obviously everybody's going to be looking to get the ball out fast. But when you're able to run the ball that way, you control everything because you have to keep everybody at bay on defense now.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what the plan is against and how that translate. But I think we talked about it a little bit earlier. We're playing a different quarterback, and I think that fundamentally changes how we impact their offense. So we'll see how that works. Ghost Lauren says Green Bay's offense was pretty elite towards the end of the year and were held to 21 points. So I'm not as freaked out by that performance as others are. And I think that's fair. I mean, I think the 49ers defense holding them to 6 points in the first half, that's a win in my opinion, because I think we're all in the category of this 49ers offense can score 30 points when push comes to shove, obviously if conditions permit. But yeah, the fact that they were able to hold them to 21 points, I think that's a good spot to be in. I think the 49ers defense did their job, and especially they came up big. Dre Greenlaw, the 2 interceptions, absolutely phenomenal. But also too, it's like they had a first-year quarterback as a starter in Jordan Love, and I think you really felt that. Like you felt that happen. So yeah, I think it was a good performance. It wasn't a great performance.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
I seen that.
Oh, what?
I seen
that's a big one.
That's a big. We'll get to that one in a minute, Chris. Thank you. I do appreciate that. I wanna get to the ones that we have in line, but damn, that's crazy. What's your take on this one?
Yeah, again, look, bend don't break. 6 points could have been a lot worse. That's why when I'm watching the game, and this is what made it weird, the 49ers are slipping all over the field. Jordan Love is having a good game. They're running the ball, and it's like 17-14. And I'm just like, it doesn't feel it doesn't feel like this game is that close. It doesn't feel like it, right? Like the 49ers were playing that poorly. But those are the little things, right? Like while again, I don't think the 49ers are going to be sliding on the field, anything like that. But I predicted that they were going to hold them to 21 points. But yeah, it definitely looked like for times that game wasn't as close as it was, but the score just looked the same. So
I think again, game flow, game like when you watch the tape, it's such a different feeling. But in the moment, the game flow was not great. Like it felt like a slippery slope for most of the game. Jesus says 33-21 Niners, dropping his score prediction for this game coming up.
nice.
Uh
Are you all right?
Siri, be quiet. Sorry. I don't know why every time I say Jesus, Siri pops up. Like
Oh, nice.
it's great. She started talking in my ear. I was like, oh my God. Sorry about that. Niners Drag says, do you see Wilkes being more creative versus Detroit? Pressure up the middle, I think exposes this Lions attack.
I think you have to. I think at this point you're not going to be able to beat that offensive line with just four. And as much as I was happy to see like Young, Hargrave, Armstead, Hargrave had one of the most important pressures in the game. That led to a field goal as well too. But it has to be a little bit more. There's got to be stunts. There's got to be blitzes that are actually there. Like it's tough. So I do think so.
Pressures up the middle. Yeah. I think we talked about that at the beginning. Kind of. I want to see him kind of confused. I think that's okay. Are we getting trolled, Jason?
Are we? I'm looking
Are
to.
we? Like, I feel like
I'm not
we're
gonna
getting
take. I'm not gonna
trolled.
take this well if this is true.
Right. I feel like we're getting trolled, but I have to
I
look.
don't see anything.
I don't see anything either. So I feel like we're getting trolled. So
I don't see anything.
we're not going to address. Appreciate the super
Nope.
chat, but I'm not going to pull it up until we see. I don't see anything. So I ain't saying nothing. All right. On to the next. Nice work. I guess
Former opponent of Steve Austin dies at 56. It's Diamond Dallas Page that passed away,
okay. So not Stone Cold.
not Stone Cold. Diamond Dallas Page passed away.
Okay. R.I.P.
Yeah, DDP, man, the Diamond Cutter, man. That's crazy too.
Yeah, unfortunate. Gray Fox says, hey fellas, I was looking at the Lions schedule and they only played 3 top 5 defenses. KC, which they won by 1 point. That was at the beginning of the year, right? The very first game, which was a crazy game. Dallas, they lost, and Ravens, which they got embarrassed. You guys know more than me, but is their offense sus?
No.
No, they're
No.
not.
And thank you, Gray Fox, for the donation. No, they're not. What Baltimore did was they railroaded them. Like that was something that just came out like, and they were able to get comments. I mean, they were able to get comments. Good God, I'm flustered now. They were able to get pressure, and that's what you did. And that game was a railroading, right? There was just a big railroad. With Dallas, they lost, but did they really lose? They were really close to winning that game. At the end too, right? So it wasn't like that their offense wasn't going. KC, they won by 1 point. Yes, and Kelsey didn't play in that game and neither did Chris Jones. So yeah, I do think that the Detroit Lions offense is legit. I mean, you look at the weapons. Ben Johnson does a great job of creating, these mesh routes. Their concepts that they run. It's very good. It puts Jared Goff in positions to succeed. And when it comes down to how they were using DDP just tweeted, all right, guys, no more wrestling news. Everyone's alive, all right? Everyone's alive. Enough, man. Everyone's alive. Good God. Oh, my goodness, man. Everyone's alive. Football, 49ers, NFC Championship game. Everyone's alive, okay? Everyone's alive. The Rock, Ultimate Warrior, all alive. Everybody's alive. But I think I think when you look at their offense and the way that they run the football with Montgomery in between the tackles and and Jahmyr Gibbs has actually showed up like later on, and he's got like that little extra. That they compare him to McCaffrey, but I think it's because of skill set. It's hard to do all that. Yeah, I know Ultimate Warrior died in 2011, Johnny. I'm just, oh my god. No more wrestling talk. I don't care. Good God. I know he's not. That's the joke.
Oh,
NFC Championship. NFC Championship. Focus. Focus.
congratulations, chat. You derailed us.
Focus. God, guys, please. But
my
I
goodness.
think again, the way that they construct their offense, the way that they have the over routes and the way that they run that mesh concept, they run it very well. And Goff has been very, very good. This is the best version of Goff. This is the best version of Goff, in my opinion, that we've seen. So yeah.
Yeah,
Whew.
100%. You guys know I'm a Cal fan at heart. I watched Goff play his whole
Oh,
career at
wow.
Cal.
Yeah.
So I've always been a believer in him. But he's definitely a shotgun, get everything in front. He didn't do great in McVay's offense. It didn't fit him. So what they've been able to do is actually build the offense around him versus reverse engineering it and trying to fit Goff into it. So it fits him. It fits his strengths. They know what he likes. They know what he doesn't. And that's it. They put him in the best position to be successful. And when you have a number one overall pick type of talent and you put him in his best position to be successful, guess what? There's probably a good chance he's going to find success. And that's what has happened. So, but he's not perfect. He has flaws. And that's going to be up to the 49ers to get pressure on him. You get pressure on Goff, you can make him make mistakes.
Right. And that's the thing is this sounds like it's a Goff stat, but it's literally a stat for every single quarterback. Clean pockets, he's good. Poor muddy pockets and he's getting pressure, he's not good. That's every quarterback. It's literally every quarterback. Nobody's numbers go up aside from like Lamar in certain instances, in certain
Well, I
metrics.
think Brock is number one in
Brock's number one in a clean pocket.
Pressure,
And then with pressure, right? Yeah, so, but it's like for the most part, no. I think it was a Koch put it out there or whatever. I think the DVOA stats and something else is completely different. But realistically, you could make this argument anytime. It's to pressure the quarterback, but with Goff, because he's not mobile and he wants to stand in the pocket, it's the time to really get in front of him and make sure that he, you knock those balls down at the line or you cause an errant throw. That's when you make turnovers.
Get your
Right.
arms up.
That's when you get your turnovers. That's when you get your plays from Goff. We know him very well because we are 49ers fans, but this is the best version of him. He's in the best version of his offense so far, and that's crazy to say because of the year that Rams team put up.
Yeah, 100%. Him and Patrick Mahomes went at it again in the Rams too, right? That was one of the, I think,
remember that was like that 64-53 game?
Yeah, that was
like,
one of the craziest games I think I'd watched in a long time.
Yeah.
Those two guys going at it. Chase Young looks lazy in their poor effort. What are your thoughts? I haven't watched the defensive tape, so I actually can't give you a.
I had that question. Because at times I'm watching him, and it was during the game where I'm like, is he going a little slow? And I just was like, you know what? I can't make any decisions until like I watch. Setting the edge is an issue. And then sometimes it looks like he's just kind of like moseying on out there. Yeah, I don't know, man. I have a hard time disagreeing with this one, boxing fan times 4. I wouldn't say he looks lazy, but there was definitely times where I'm like, pick it up, man. Go faster, like run. And it didn't seem like he was. I saw it far too many times, and I'm glad that other people are saying that they're seeing it because I don't want to make it seem like I was making something up. But it seems like it's a popular sentiment, and I can absolutely see why.
Yeah, I'm probably going to try to get into the defensive tape. That will be one thing that I look for after this. But yeah, I'm very interested to see if that is the case. I see someone in the chat says Cleveland was a big loss. He really was. Cleveland had a great year for us. He didn't produce from a pass rushing standpoint, but he was exactly what we needed in base downs. So, and that's exactly what I anticipated from him coming in, and he fit what we needed. So it'll be interesting to see what the impact looks like with Clee out. So And he had surgery, so he's not coming back this year. And we already knew that he was on IR, but yeah, he definitely had some issues there at the end. Yeah, I'm not going to read that out loud. Let's see. Brother says we just go score at the end of the half. Stop being so scared. Basically, it's probably about our conversation about Kyle Shanahan's game management kind of there at the end of half, which sounds like pretty much predominantly everyone had questions about of, how that went down. And yeah, I would like to see Kyle with a little bit of that effort mentality. Like, let's go. This is it. This is the time to kind of nut up or shut up, for a lack of a better term. Like, let's go. Like,
I don't know. That's a lack of a better term. I think that's the term.
I think that's the term. Let's see. Oh, and instruct Moody to kick off back of the end zone.
So
is he saying like
back of the end zone on kickoffs? Like he's been instructed by Kyle to kick not in the end zone because Oren Burks is back because they want to cover. Brad Graham, can I speak? Can I just real quick?
Yeah.
You drafted a guy with a big leg in the 3rd round, who you thought would be able to kick the ball out of the end zone, so you didn't have to cover. So everybody just starts at the 25 because if not, they would just take a knee and they would start at the 25. And then you don't want him to kick out of the end zone. I need someone smarter than me to explain why you wanted this kicker with this big leg to do all those things so you can kick the ball before the end zone and not use his leg. This isn't about the pick. I just need someone smarter than me to understand, so I can understand what's the thought process on the rookie that has contributed the most on this team so far. What's the thought process on saying I'd rather have my special teams, which is not great. I would rather have my special teams try to get down there and tackle, and let's kick off to an all-pro, Keyshawn Nixon. And then when that happens, I just need someone smarter than me to explain this one to me, because maybe I'm missing some big brain football IQ thing here. But Johnny, this is the thing, and shout out to you, man. I love you. I love your content, dude. They want to kick it out the end zone, but it always doesn't happen. Why did you pick him then if he can't kick it out of the end zone? Why?
Well, did they pick him for his kickoffs or kicking from 58 or 52 or something like that?
He gets a running start, Brad. Boom that thing out of the end zone. Our special teams group is sus. Kick the ball out of the end zone, kid. Come on, get a running start. You need to drink your milk. Get the ball out of the end zone. Kicking it to an all-pro and then having him have a 80-yard return is it was peak. I was all right, this game is drunk. It was right after McCaffrey's touchdown too. I was all right, this game is absolutely drunk. I was fine. I was I guess. But come on, man. Come on. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. But yeah, that's what they were talking about. That's what he was talking about in that super chat.
Beast Mode said raw and double dips. Hello, what are we talking about?
We were talking about double dipping at the end of the half. Beast Mode was talking about something else, but that's
yeah,
what
he was talking about. He was talking about something. I know what he was talking about. I know what he was talking about. Lisa said, Kyle said in his presser that he forgot to not call the last part of the play because JJ was that player, not Deebo, when they realized it was too late.
Can't happen. Can't happen. Can't happen. Can't happen. Don't matter whose fault it is. Yours, the play caller, the running back coach. Can't happen. I don't care who. I don't care who is responsible. Can't happen. Just can't happen.
Yeah. Right. Especially at a half.
Right.
When you know exactly what you're calling. You've already predetermined in a non-competitive environment because you're in the locker room and you can just kind of all right, let's script our next play. We know we're getting the ball at a half. I know that ball all right, this is the play. This is first play. This is what's going to get us in our groove, and it's a mistake. That's not typically what we see a lot from this Kyle Shanahan. Raymond says, great analysis, guys. It's NFC Championship week. Enjoy. We will definitely
Yeah, we
enjoy.
get an extra week.
And shout
Didn't
out
look
to
like we were
everyone.
gonna get an extra week.
No, it did not.
To your point, real quick, after Aaron Jones had that run, I already started in my head writing the eulogy for the post game show.
Dude, I was like, my head was spinning because obviously we do content year round. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, the content shift is happening. I wasn't prepared.
And I was like, oh, my comment section is about to obliterate me like this entire time. I was like, oh,
they're gonna take all
dear.
frustration and throw it at us because we're in
Right.
front of a microphone.
You predicted 38-21. It's you. I was just like, I was gonna let everybody just have their moment. I was gonna let everybody have their moment and be like, look, if it makes you feel better to yell at me, then just go for it. Like, let's just get it out the way. But then I knew that
was so wild. It had you questioning the jinx thought. You're like, oh, wait a second.
I was like, oh man, maybe I do affect this. But you know what I was thinking? I was like, oh god, all those Eagles, Cowboys, Seahawks, all those fans that like the Rams fans. Yeah, the Rams fans, all of them that are never here, that never showed up after. I was waiting. I was just like, here they come, man. I'm like,
Dallas
here
would have came with their pitchforks ready to lay.
The Eagles fans would have been back. It would have been the Packers fans would have pulled up. I was just like, bro. I was like, why is this happening?
Yeah, we would have got cooked by everyone. It would have been, that would have been a crazy one. So thankfully they pulled that one out. Chris Royal says, I don't give a flippity fuck how he struggled quarter 1 through 3 in the fourth in the closing minute. He was clutch. On to the next, baby. Thanks, guys.
That's it. Again, not how you start, it's how you finish. If you're not first, you're last.
Boom. 100%. That's why Keyshawn Johnson's thoughts are ridiculous and all that type of stuff. Just ridiculous. It's about, and again, it's like this. I think you hit it on the head. It's like the game didn't match how you perceived it to go from the beginning. Because I remember my chat, we did our prediction Friday. It was double-digit blowout, 3-score blowout predictions. And that was the common. It was like, oh, we're cooking these dudes. We're there, they can't stand a chance. And it's like, yeah, I appreciate the confidence, but it's like, dude, this is playoff football. Like you never know what's going to happen. So, and I think, we've seen that before as content creators. If the game doesn't, if it's a win, but it's like, oh, well, it should have been a blowout win. I think a week 2 against the Rams, when we didn't blow them out, we were actually behind for some of that game. And we're like, we're supposed to blow them out. The Rams are frauds. They're supposed to be the worst team in the NFC West, like the NFC West. Like, how could this happen? And sure enough, like they turned out to be actually a quality team. But it didn't fit the expectation or the perception heading into it. So they're upset about a win. So hey, we'll see. Shout out to Johnny Dells. He says, congrats on 100K subs.
Hell yeah.
Legendary. Appreciate you, Johnny Dells. Make sure you go check out his channel for all the film breakdown stuff. Does a phenomenal job over there.
Hell
Appreciate it.
Shout out to Johnny, man. Hell yeah.
And then finally, Chris, this one took me off guard a little bit. But shout out Chris, $100 for 100K YouTube sub. Congrats, Brad. Let's go, Niners. Shout out, Chris, man.
Hell yeah, Chris.
I really do appreciate that. That's phenomenal. And it is surreal. It's surreal to be able to hit 100K. Got the channel verified. First actual verification where you don't have to pay for it. And you actually have to.
It's because it's after 100K?
Yeah, you have to get it that way. So that's awesome, man. Like it's surreal because what, Jason? I started grinding in 2021. I think you were already like solidified in the 49ers podcaster streets. And here we are. 3 NFC championships in a row since we've been doing State of the Franchise.
And we deserve our credit too for that, even though we didn't play it down. Remember, we started State of the Franchise when the 49ers were like trying to find a way to win games, and then they went on their run and made it. But no, Brad, you deserve all that. As a poor person looking at this stream, I'm just like, man, I got to do something. I got I say I'm gonna go heat up my beefaroni as soon as I get off the stream and everything because like that's dinner. But like,
Hey, make sure you go onto Aponte's channel. Send
I'm just
him
kidding,
some
man. That's
super
great.
chats, man.
No, that's great, man. And you deserve it. I say it all the time. As good as you are as an analyst, you're a better friend.
I appreciate you, man. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Appreciate just this wild journey that we're on. But Bayo says when the talking heads list quarterbacks that they think would be better on the Niners, they do not understand the complexity of the system Brock is running.
It's a little bit of Richard Sherman what he was saying about I think it was Marcus Spears who said that if Josh Allen was in this offense, he would be a Hall of Famer already. And I have to disagree. And what I mean by that is it's not that Josh Allen wouldn't be good in this offense, but the anticipatory throws, the things that Kyle wants to see is what Brock is doing.
It would be different.
As soon as Josh throws one of those insane interceptions or a few of them and he starts trying to get off like the off script off of what it's going to drive Kyle nuts. And you know how I know he wasn't able to run the same offense that he wanted to with Trey Lance, and he didn't see what he needed to see out of Trey, and he saw it out of Brock, and he got him up out of there. So I disagree with that 100%. 100%. I think again, you look at talent and you automatically believe that talent supersedes system, when in reality, it goes hand in hand. And one has to complement the other. And I think for me, what he wants to run is what he's running with Purdy. What he
I
wants to run
agree.
is that's what he wants to run with Purdy.
Yeah.
So for me, all the off script stuff, like all that stuff that that Lamar Jackson with Drew Brees legs, whatever that like fine, whatever. But I disagree with the idea that like, oh, just drop someone, from somewhere else and just drop them in and just like, like I nothing against Josh Allen. I think he's an incredible talent, but man, he would like rip his hair out like if he had to deal with him sometimes.
The offense would look a lot different, right?
Of course, 100%,
It would
100%,
look it probably look
100%.
like the Trey Lance offense, which the whole fan base hated, right? Because
Yeah,
Trey wasn't that great at running it. Um, but that's what you would get. You would get a lot of quarterback powers. You would be getting kind of maybe one, two, like first, second read progressions and then check downs. Like it would be literally probably half the field. And then either check down or run. So that's the thing. It's, Brock is an elite processor, and his ability, again, it was actually on full display in that game
yeah,
against the Packers.
yeah.
They don't score
That throw to
that
Kittle was
touchdown.
on the run. By the way, per Next Gen Stats, that was his 7th throw on a scramble, which tied Josh Allen and Russell Wilson for tops in the league.
Interesting. I didn't know that. But then the other element of him making that throw on the move was his ability to understand that the play clock was rolling down. He had an extremely complex setup where you got two motions pre-snap, Juice and Charlie Warner. He sees that the clock is ticking down. He understands the situation and what the play calls for. You literally see Juice telling Warner to motion, and Brock immediately goes, "Stop, stay there,"
Stay there.
and then goes hike at 00, and they score a touchdown. If Brock
Yeah.
Purdy is just in the the calls for Warner to motion, they get delay of game, they go back 5 yards, who knows what happens, and they don't score that big Christian McCaffrey touchdown. You don't hear these guys, and I think that was Ted Nguyen of The Athletic who pointed that out, and went crazy viral, and rightfully so, because that's what it takes to play quarterback. And Brock doesn't get credit for those things. He doesn't get credit for understanding situation, understanding how to process, understanding how to get a group of 10 other guys in and out of plays. And that is the difference. A play that all he did was hand the ball off to his superstar Christian McCaffrey, right? Why he gets discredited all the time. That play doesn't happen if he doesn't set it up. So that he deserves credit. Like he deserves credit for playing within this scheme to an absolutely elite degree, even when it is going wrong. Like that's the point. The play was wrong. They were behind the clock, and he was still able to, here's the word, Jason, manage the game as it needed to be managed, because that is one of the ultimate functions of a quarterback. And again, that has become a negative connotation associated with quarterbacks. But hey, they don't score if Brock isn't on his if you know what I mean. So
Oh yeah.
that was a big one. Stone Cold did not die.
No, he did not die.
Hey, Lil Heater says spreading some love over to the Spicy Channel too. There you go.
Hell yeah.
There
Thank
you
you so
go.
much. Thank you so much. Shout out Little Heater. She's always showing love, man. Thank you guys so
Absolutely.
much, man. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Any other I feel like we covered everything. I don't feel like we spent a ton of time on the slander, but I don't feel like we need to, because I think both you and I have probably addressed it to a point of pure nauseum at this point. I'm even seeing people start to like pile on. I saw Jay Cutler call Brock Purdy the weak link the day after the bat, like the day after, so Tuesday. And I'm just like, Jay, you're just trying to get your name out there. Like that feels so
Funny enough about weak links. I think he knows a lot about it.
yeah, is he speaking from a place of knowledge?
Yes. I mean, it's I used to sell cell phones for Verizon. So when I go in and I go get a phone somewhere, I speak from a place of being able to say, "Hey, I know how this goes. I've actually done it. I know the process. Do this and that." Right. But he knows what it's like to be the weak link. He definitely does.
Boom, roasted. But honestly, I saw it and I was like, yeah, I'm not even paying that 2 cents. Like it just
No,
feels
no, thank
like,
you, Jay Cutler.
yeah,
That
it's
man didn't
just
care
like,
about football when he played. Now he cares. Get out
yeah,
of here.
yeah. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna even rebuttal you to say you're wrong. You're literally just you're what's the word, grifting, like where you
Yeah.
like latch on to, like that's what that was. I was like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna give you the credit you're looking for. Tyler says, Brad, are we gonna talk about getting CMC offensive
So
player of the year? You were part of
so
that, right?
yeah, so that's the PFWA ones that I was allowed to vote on. I want to make sure that I revealed my ballot before anything came out. I had Lamar MVP, that happened. I had McCaffrey offensive player of the year, that happened. I picked Miles Garrett defensive player of the year, that happened. I picked CJ Stroud, that happened. And I
Were
picked
there any other
if I'm not
Niners?
yeah, well, I mean the all pro team. So I picked Kittle, Trent,
Uh,
and Fred. All three of them made it as well too. So yeah, I mean CMC won the PFWA Offensive Player of the Year. The AP one is the one that everybody's waiting for, which they're going to give out at the NFL Honors right before the Super Bowl. So yeah, I'm
right.
just happy that me going through my ballot, doing it for the first time. I felt way better about my all NFL picks and my all NFC, all AFC picks because it forced me to really objectively think about other teams. I didn't really get as many on the NFL team because I picked Ragnow. People picked Kelsey. I didn't pick Lane Johnson. He got picked. So I was really objectively going through it. And I actually picked Quinn Miners in the AFC at right guard. So shout out to him as well too.
Did
So
he get
yeah,
in?
it's nah, no. It's just
Mm.
it's these awards. There are people that watch. There's people that watch. They know, and then there's people that just know the names, and the names are going to be the ones that get there. It's the reason that Bobby Wagner continues to be in the All Pro conversation. It's the reason that Bobby Wagner becomes a Pro Bowler, right? So I try to dig really deep into like who's actually been the best at their position, and Frank Ragnow has been clearly the best center. But Jason Kelsey gets the nod because Jason Kelsey is Jason Kelsey, and it's just something that it was a great experience to learn about. But I'm kind of happy that I aligned with everybody because there was a lot of talk about defensive player of the year. I felt like it was Miles Garrett. It wasn't necessarily that close. TJ Watt's probably the only other guy I would have voted for. And I had Will Anderson, defensive rookie of the year as well too. I'm glad to see that come up, and that's how it went too. So I didn't really miss too many this time, and I'm pretty. Oh, and All pro wide receivers. I picked Tyreek and CeeDee Lamb, and those are the two that came back. But I had Amon-Ra St. Brown right there behind them, and he should have been. But he's the real All Pro, not the one from PFWA. So yeah, I think I did all right this year.
Yeah, you were very objective in your voting, and that's what it takes, right?
Yeah,
You can't be in the Pro Football Writers of
of
America
America.
Association, right? Like with being biased. So
Yeah,
that's why your coverage is great, and you're able to tell it like it is, and you also you pay attention to the whole league. You're not just
I do.
only
I have a
49ers.
I have a sick obsession with football, and that's why when football goes away, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like I have to like, what am I supposed to do? Yeah, like I'm just look, we're throwing all the references at you. What you get? Waterboy, Talladega Nights, 40 Virgin. Like we're out here cooking today. But yeah, this is why I love watching as much as I can, because when it goes away, all we ever do is complain that it's gone away. So why wouldn't you take advantage and try to watch as much as you can?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep that in mind because I remember feeling like it was I think it was just because of the talking points that were driving the off season that made it feel like the longest off season in history. But it actually goes by pretty quickly. Like once you
It
get through
does.
the dead month, once you get through that dead month, it's like,
Right
oh
after the
crap,
draft.
training camps right here. Like, yeah,
I think it'll go a little bit different for us because the Niners have a first round pick, and we'll have to break down, a lot more picks. They also got awarded four
yeah,
more compensatory picks, man. Like, so this team's about to
11
reload as well
picks,
too. Yeah. Hey, Alexa, cut it off. Good
bro.
God.
Alexa and Siri going crazy today.
This
That's
girl in my
wild.
bedroom is acting up, man. I gotta keep her quiet. Like, good God. Um, but yeah, I think again, like it's gonna be great this off season because we'll have a lot to talk about, and then once we get to like that part of training camp, we're like ramped all the way up.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be I can't believe drafts like I can't believe we're potentially, I'm not even speaking into existence, but we're close. Like that's what last game, that's what it was. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh my gosh.
What
Is it draft season
what that the
already?
what that the Niners are gonna be drafting from 32nd?
I like that one better.
Oh yeah.
So
I love Joshua's take here, which is why we don't complain about Bears Broncos Thursday night games. Exactly. Exactly. Everyone, I can't wait for football to come back. This week on Thursday Night Football, the Washington Commanders and the New York Jets, and everybody's like, "I'm not watching that crap." And it's like, and when it goes away, it's just you have to watch it all. Yeah, find a way to make it interesting. Maybe your fantasy teams are in it. Maybe you play some bets. Maybe you use sleeper. Maybe you use underdog. You got to find ways to keep it interesting because when it goes away, I don't want to hear any complaining. I would kill in the offseason if the Bears and the Broncos locked it up and they just said, you know what, we're gonna play a game this week just to put on TV. I would be like, yes, oh my God, thank you so much.
give us training camp scrimmages live or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's a good spot to be in. 49ers in the NFC Championship game. It's going to be at Levi's. Detroit has to come here. And the 49ers are 4 quarters away from being in the Super Bowl.
Score
So
prediction? Or are you ready yet? Or you haven't done it yet?
I haven't done it yet, but if you want to lead us, if you've been thinking about it,
It's time. Um, 31-24. The San Francisco 49ers win a very, very tough game. The Detroit Lions are a good football team. They deserve to be here. The 49ers have been here before. They know what's on the line. They know what they need to do. They have been on the doorstep. Again, 3 straight NFC Championship games. They know what that hurt feels like. San Francisco 49ers 31-24. They find a way. You got to pick on that Lions secondary. They have been probably the bottom half in the league at the secondary position. The Niners find a way to exploit that. Need Deebo Samuel to play, and also need that defensive line to get in Jared Goff's face. But 31-24, the 49ers get it done.
I'm feeling like it's going to be a high scoring game and potentially get some defensive scores in this game, maybe even from both sides. So I'm thinking off the bat, no rain. I'm thinking 38-34. I think this might be a barn burner kind of a game where
It's gonna be a great game.
they're they're going back. Yeah, I think it is. I really do. I think it's going to be a great game. And we've seen how
No
they're
drunk game, please. We should be the only ones drunk.
they they're I think they're a well coached team. Would you say that?
They are. They
Yeah,
are.
they're
Ben
well coached.
Johnson's Ben Johnson's a dog, man. He's gonna get a job somewhere. And you know what? We made fun of Dan Campbell when he was hired because of like
Yeah.
that goofy
Bite the
press
kneecaps
conference.
off. Yeah.
But man, you know when it really turned for me when he started crying after they didn't win a game, and everybody looked at that and they were making it. But it's just he cares so much, and I understand why guys rally around him. Shit, he make me run through a wall, and I don't even want to play football. So
Yeah,
I
his
get
whole
it, man.
heart's in it. His
Yeah,
whole
they're
soul
they're
is in it.
fun. They're fun. If they were facing anyone in the NFC Championship aside from the 49ers, I'd probably root for them. But you know I can't do that at this point. The Lions are fun, man, and they're a good team, and they're gonna be good for a while too.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one because obviously this is like we said, third NFC Championship game in a row, 4 in 5 years. They are just ecstatic to be here. So it's going to be interesting to see whose intensities ratcheted up, and honestly, who comes out executing. Like who doesn't let the moment get too big. So it's going to be an interesting one nonetheless. Spokane says, I'm excited for the UFL. It has a P. Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's right. That's
Hell
right.
yeah, and they merged it, right? So it's the USFL
Yeah.
and the XFL, and it's going to be like the G League of the NFL.
I hope
So
so.
yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'll watch. There's a lot of people who made it to the NFL. I could think off the top of my head, the kid Turpin from Dallas. So that
Their
does have its
kicker,
appeal,
Dallas's
right?
kicker was from the USFL.
Aubrey, right? 100%. Didn't even have to draft him. Love that. And then Martavis Bryant gets to play. I had to. I couldn't let it go.
I know. I know.
Martavis Bryant was playing in those games. So sometimes you'll see some guys that are like trying to work their way back to the league. So yeah, I'll give it a whirl. I just feel like this season is going to be much more focused on draft content, especially when me and Brad go to the combine because the 49ers have a first round pick now. We don't have to start digging like I hate this part of it, Brad. We're watching a guy and we're like, my God, he's good. And they're like, there's no way the Niners are going to be in position to draft him. Like, and it's
Yeah,
just
like
awful.
he's
And you
probably
just have
going to
to
go
like,
in the 40s or 50s, and you're like, oh,
right,
all right, let me think of
yeah.
14 trade scenarios of us not getting this guy.
And all you got, and then what do we say? He's for the streets. Like, he's for the streets. He's not for the
Yeah.
49ers. That's it. Like, and then I hate it. And then, like, I go watch them play football for another team, and I'm like, damn, he was good. Like, that's
Yeah.
what we're going to get back to. The combine's going to be hyper focused now this time. We're going to try to find you those gems, and we're going to try to find out who the 49ers have been talking to and who they've actually had their eye on, man. And we're going to try to hit that nightlife and try to get some insider info as well, too, man, because that's probably the best part of the combine.
Absolutely. I can't wait for that part. I can't wait for that part.
That's
But
the best part. That is the best part, easily. Hey, there's Mike McDaniel. Hey, that's Kevin O'Connell. Like, like we're just bouncing around, like
Jordan goes over to
bouncing around,
O'Connell.
talking to
Hey,
coaches.
so what
Yeah.
about
Hey, that's Rich
Trubisky?
Eisen. Yeah. Hey, that was fun. Yeah. Oh yeah. When I told Kevin O'Connell. Yeah. So that's probably the funniest story. Is like Kevin O'Connell. I didn't realize was an absolute giant, and he played
He's
football in the league.
huge.
He was drafted by the New England Patriots to play quarterback. And I say, hey, coach, like I tapped him on the shoulder. You know, everybody's having a drink in the place, and I'm like, coach, can you do me a favor and like throw the football 35, 40 times to Justin Jefferson? He flat out looked me in my face and was like, no. He was like, we're absolutely not going to do that because that means it's going to go in the hands of the other team. And I was like, coach, that was selfishly fantasy football. Thank you. But like those are the type of interactions you get. Those are the type of interactions you get when you're there. And you see Coach Mike. Coach Mike is surrounded by everybody, and he's exactly the guy that
He's a vibe. The
Yo,
all
oh
white.
man, you think that's an act? That's not an act. That is not an act. Like wherever he goes, this man has like nothing but energy, bro. And everybody wants to be around that. You run into Rich Eisen, you see like Cynthia Froyland, and upstairs is Kyle and Jim and Adam Peters, and that's the best part of the combine is that everybody's there, and then we get a chance to vibe with them and just go to the same place and just it's packed, but it's worth it. And you make your way over and you try to say what's up to as many coaches and players as you can.
I'll never forget when Stephen Jones almost tackled me because
Oh yeah,
he was so drunk. He
yes.
stumbled, and I was like, I'm about to get tackled by Stephen Jones.
I'll-
What is he, like, president of the Cowboys?
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm about to get tackled by the president of
Jerry
the
Jones'
Cowboys.
son.
He
Yep.
can't control his liquor. I was like,
Jerry Jones'
oh,
son.
whoa.
I'll never forget when I aggressively had to talk to what's his name from NFL Network.
I'll never forget about. I never look at. Every time I see a tweet from him, I'm like, I know you. I know you.
That I aggressively had to grab him and ask him what his problem was.
You said, "Hey, bro, chill." He's like, "My bad."
Chill out. I'm like, "Are you all right? Like, are you good?" Like, I'm like, "Are you good?" He's like, I'm just really drunk, man. I'm like, no, are you good? Like relax, man. Stop bumping me.
Bro, so wild. We walked in, walk through the doors. The first person I turn to my right and I lock eyes with is Mike Tomlin. I'm like,
Yep.
what's up, coach?
Yep.
I was
Yep.
like,
Yeah, exactly.
all right.
And that's the best part is like, they're all standing around. You see like Wink Martindale. We saw Steve Spagnuolo. Like, I met Von Miller that night. Like that's the combine that you really want to go to. Go. What is it?
Breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Jim Harbaugh is expected to leave Michigan and accept the
Chargers.
head coaching job for the Los Angeles Chargers.
He's back. He got his championship and he dipped.
I
Prediction.
think he was going to get hit with a bunch of fines and restrictions and whatever. Something was coming his way, so he's like, I'm out of here.
Prediction. Vic Fangio follows him.
Ooh, that's a good one. Do they
That
all
one
link
seems
up?
too easy.
Greg Roman, offensive coordinator, Fangio back, run it
Oh,
back.
hell no, please. God, I swear to God. If I see Greg Roman and Jeep Christ on that damn staff and you want to limit Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen and all those guys to that damn offense, I swear to God. I will kill everyone, please.
Oh man, that would be the wildest trio to re-link up and try to go after it 10 years.
We're getting the band back together.
Oh my gosh, that would be crazy. So yeah, if you're just tuning in, Jim Harbaugh will be a Charger. Jim Harbaugh is officially back in the league after the last time he was in the league. It was with the San Francisco 49ers. So who's got it better than us is heading down to LA, link up with Justin Herbert.
That's
see
cool.
how that goes.
That's cool, man. I mean, good. He gets there, he gets a quarterback that's there. So makes sense. It just makes sense.
Didn't Fangio? I saw a report that Fangio's going
about
to
him going to Philly. Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, I'm just like I'm reading tea leaves that are not there, and maybe the tea that I'm sipping is the thing that Aaron Rodgers sips. But it would be pretty cool if Vic Fangio, had to cook him too. If Vic Fangio like actually linked back up with Harbaugh, so he can like have some feels, like we have some little feels over there, and we can like root for the Chargers. But yeah, he was a consultant for the Eagles, so he's been widely speculated to do that. But he consulted with the Niners too, and they thought he was going to take the job, and be with them, before Wilkes got it. So we'll see.
Jim Harbaugh's back. Wow. All right. Well, that's a way to end the show.
Hell yeah.
So, Harbaugh's back. 49ers in the NFC Championship game. Feels like it's 49ers versus the world right now. So, hey, we vibing.
Oh, yeah, we vibing. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your week. We picked the 49ers to beat the Lions, but I guess I'll announce it here. Tune in tomorrow to my channel, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon. I have Ross Tucker on the channel. He had a really spicy. He had a really spicy kicker take that I had to make sure that he expounds on my channel. So yeah, look out for that.
Ross Tucker podcast.
Yes. So Ross Tucker will be on the channel tomorrow at 3. We're gonna talk about
he's got like
Lions,
Niners, thousands of listeners.
Oh yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Lions, Niners, all those things. We'll talk about all those things, and we're going to talk about his spicy kicker take that kicking should not be allowed anymore in football, because I need to dig into that just a little bit more. Yeah.
That's dope. So make sure you guys go over to Jason's channel right here. Make sure you click over, sub, turn those post notifications on. Don't miss this conversation with Ross Tucker. That's cool. That's a good guess right there. So that's going to be super cool. What's today? Wednesday. Normal content for me the rest of the week. We're just going to be cooking, doing what we do, getting ready for this game at Levi Stadium. Dude, the tickets are crazy. But that's a conversation for
another going?
Day. What was that?
You're going?
Oh, I have to.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how, but I'm going to figure out a way. I mean, Chris helped me out. Chris took probably contributed to like 3% of my ticket costs.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So I appreciate it.
3%. Good God.
It's here. I don't have to pay for a flight. I don't have to do none of that. So
The
It's
flight's
crazy.
not what is worrisome. That's the easy part. The flight
Dude, the
costs
ticket,
nothing.
I looked it up. The ticket that I paid $350 for my ticket last week. That same ticket's $2,000. It's insane.
Oh, well, it's the NFC Championship, and you know what's funny is I went to the SoFi NFC Championship, and I paid $850 to sit like on the roof, like by like the lights. And that's crazy. Like to think that like LA, NFC Championship, and then we all know what happened in that game. Sorry guys, I didn't mean to bring it up, but I was just trying to like give you data points. That's
It's
crazy
crazy,
that it
man.
costs that much. But you're trying to sit like closer. Like me, I just need to be in the building.
Yeah, I need to be lower bowl, or if I'm in the second deck, I prefer to be in the first row. But yeah, I try to stay low. But hey, it's the NFC Championship game, and I learned back in 2019 when I bought my tickets and I brought my son. These opportunities don't come around all that often, especially at home. So
Yeah,
yeah, hey, we're crazy 49er fans. So we if there's a will, there's a way. So we'll figure it out. But yeah, man, I got to be there. I got to go to that game and hopefully watch the 49ers punch their ticket to the Super Bowl. And it's going to be a wild one. But shout out to everyone, as always, for tapping in for State of the Franchise. I honestly can't say what State of the Franchise is going to look like next week. There's a chance I could be in Mobile, Alabama
the
for
chance
the
I could
Senior
be in
Bowl.
Mobile. It
What was that?
depends. The chance I could be in Mobile. It's
Yeah, I don't
where
know.
where this week of content goes, how the 49ers go. Because if the 49ers are in the Super Bowl, I've got to make plans to get to Vegas. And I don't know if I can swing going to the Senior Bowl and doing both. But if not, then I'll take my shot and I'll go to the Senior Bowl and I'll get there. But if not, hopefully we're gonna sit there and we're gonna have a week of content where I tap in with Brad, and I'm able to get because I still get the Senior Bowl film even if I don't go. I still get the
Right.
Senior Bowl practice film, so I'll be able to watch. So I'll be able to give you that. But as far as being there, I won't be there if the 49ers make it because the media opportunity opens up for the Super Bowl. And I would much rather do that than the Senior Bowl.
Of course.
Respectfully.
And then we'll do State of the Franchise live from Vegas,
Yes.
which is what we want. Which is what we want.
This
Ultimately.
young man is gonna have red eyes. He's gonna be like it's gonna be bags under his eyes. Like that week
I'm
is about to be
already
nuts.
exhausted, Jason. Now you
Yes.
throw in traveling to Alabama, then back to Vegas. But hey, just like we talked about, we know how dry that offseason is, so I'm going to take it in regardless. Take it in.
100%.
It's going to be a challenge, but hey, it's going to be worth it in the end. And being at the Senior Bowl before, as both of us have been, to be able to get a head start on the scouting, that would be a big, big element. Just because I was so behind last year because of just the lack of interest, and really like I remember we were going up doing interviews of all these players at the combine. I would hop on Twitter, search their name, watch like 5, 6, 7 clips, pull a traits profile, do a quick bio read, and then I would ask them some questions. Like
Yeah.
it was insane. So hopefully going into the combine this year, I would like to actually know these players a little bit
Right.
better so we can ask better questions. But
49ers are not making it easy on us. They're not making it easy on us. It would be a lot easier to do that, but I think it would be better. It would be more beneficial for me going into the combine. I feel like because not everybody's going to be at the Senior Bowl, but everybody will be at the combine. And the best part about the combine is the early days are, you talking to coaches and GMs.
right.
And then the players come, right? Like, so it's there's all that stuff going on as well too. But yeah, the 49ers are not making it easy for us to get into drive content as they shouldn't. And I'm not ready to get into drive content yet.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm it's a good problem to have. It's a good
Yes,
problem to have. So appreciate everyone tapping in. Like I said, next week is going to be up in the air with how everything works out. But hey, it is what it is. Hopefully 49ers punch their ticket to Vegas, and this is what we're cooking on. State of the Franchise live from Vegas. So we'll see, but shout out to everyone. Any last words, Jason?
nah, thank you guys, man. Another incredible season. And it's not done. We will see you guys talking about the 49ers going to Vegas. You know, put it down, write it down, clip it, whatever. Let's do it. I didn't get here. I didn't get here not standing on business, and I'm not going to start to pick someone
Hey.
else against the 49ers. So what are you talking about?
I like it. I love it. And I want more of it. Appreciate all of you guys, as always, tapping in. And again, make sure you go tap in with both channels. We are dual streaming, so you can go check out both. Jason Aponte, you already know where I'm at. And we're going to be doing more content throughout the week as we get ready for NFC Championship game. But that is state of the franchise for today. Y'all got an extra long one, and it was a good one per usual. Appreciate everyone who said super chats today, and we are out of here. We'll see you next week. That's Jason Aponte. I'm Brad Graham. We're going to get into it all right now.